I've been working as a food delivery driver for about 8 months now. With how my contract works, I need to have at least 3 evening shifts, with 2 of those being between Friday and Sunday. I don't really mind working the evenings since it has a nice vibe to it, being really calm. Just throw on some headphones and a good playlist or podcast and you're good. Plus, I never work for more than 4.5 hours on end, since I work on an e-bike, so I can't do longer shifts without my battery dying. Keeping in mind that the bike needs to take me home as well. Apart from some stupid encounters I've had with teenagers trying to be funny in front of their friends, like biking after me and asking for food or pretending to be the customer, I never had anything creepy happen to me. That was until a few weeks ago. It was a Thursday evening. I had a shift from 5:30 until 9:30 p.m. Where I live, delivery drivers get paid per hour instead of per delivery. This has advantages and disadvantages. One disadvantage being that I can't decline orders on my own end. If we, for whatever reason, can't take an order, we need to talk with the company we work for. So whatever trip is thrown to us, we have to take. Up until this point, I've been having good, close-by deliveries from nice local restaurants. None of my journeys were to faraway places, which was good. The weather was fine. It was cold, but if you layer yourself well enough, it's not that bad, as long as it doesn't rain, which luckily, it wasn't. It was around 8:15 when I got a McDonald's order. The customer lived about 12 minutes away from the restaurant, which wasn't ideal, but it was fine since I only lost one stripe of battery so far. The location it was going to was also a good one, since the only time I needed to get off the bike lane was to cross roads. Other than that, it was all bike lanes. I picked up the order after waiting around 15 minutes. I got onto my bike, chose a playlist, and made my way over to the customer. The streets were pretty quiet, setting the vibe. As I got closer to the customer's house, I made my way onto the sidewalk and cycled slowly, trying to find the house number, which can be a pain at night. I eventually did and locked up my bike. I walked over to the door and knocked. After a few seconds, I heard commotion and placed my bag down, taking out the food. The door opened and the lady greeted me with a smile. After handing her the food and telling her to enjoy, she thanked me, and after giving me a tip, closed the door back up. I got back onto my bike and unlocked it. I had been charging my phone with my power bank, but wanted to take the charger off since my phone was now full enough, and dealing with a wire sticking out of my jacket pocket can be a hassle when taking off and putting on my backpack. I always felt awkward and watched, especially when they have those doorbell cameras. So I made my way over to the small alleyway close to the house. As I turned my bike back off, I took out my power bank and turned it off. Then I changed my playlist, and as I was putting the power bank back into my pocket, I heard slow footsteps creeping closer to me from behind. Now, this alleyway I was standing in was pretty narrow and small, so I was probably blocking it. I quickly moved and got off my bike, holding it close to me, and pressed myself onto the wall. I excused myself and made a gesture for the person to pass. Instead of thanking me and walking on, the person just kept standing there. This is when I looked up. I was met with a tall, skinny lady standing just a few inches away. Her face was slim and her hair came to rest on her shoulders. Her face looked white and she looked like a heroin addict. She looked me dead in the eye without any expression and was breathing through her mouth. She was wearing brown jeans and a blue hoodie. Can I help you? I asked after painful moments of silence. She looked at me for a few seconds and said, "You have my food." I froze. Now, in our app system, there's no way you can actually confirm that the customer was the right one since they don't have any security codes to ask. Since I was busy with my power bank, I hadn't clicked finished order yet. I checked my phone and decided to ask the old lady a question about the order. "Oh, I think another driver has your food. I just delivered to someone else," I said with a smile. "Where did you order from?" If she was right, I would be able to help her and easily get a refund. However, she just stared at me, her expressionless face turning into a hard, ugly glare. "No, that was my food." Again, I tried to reason with her, asking her for her name and what food she had ordered. "I'm just trying to help you, ma'am. Check your app. The app should tell you how far the driver is." To this, she stepped back and pointed her hand at me. "My food. I need my food." At this point, I figured she must be homeless and hungry. "I have food if you want," I said. Now, I always keep snacks on me just in case I have to wait long for orders to get ready and have no orders coming in for a bit. We wait a lot since we can't turn down orders that take too long to be made. My go-to work snacks are a protein granola bar. They're easy to keep since they don't take up much space and you can eat them fast. I decided to give her a box and maybe she'll be satisfied. I took one out of my backpack and handed it to her. She took it from me, damn near snatching it out of my grip, and stepped closer. "I want my food." I let out a breath, getting really creeped out now, and once again I asked her to check her app or give me her name, the name she put up with her so-called order. She took a big breath, and before I could say anything else, she exhaled and screamed fucking bloody murder, making me flinch and press myself onto the wall. In the process, I accidentally moved my bike's throttle. This thing alone doesn't get past 4 kilometers per hour. I had some struggle, but I eventually got on my bike and pedaled away, the lady still screaming behind me. I got to the fence that prevented cars from coming in and had to slow down a bit. This was enough time for the lady to catch up to me and grab onto the back of my bike. I let out a yelp as I could feel her trying to push me back. I also heard something scrape the wall next to me. I didn't want to look and instead put my bike on a higher assist mode, which I normally never do, and always kept it to 2 to 3 to spare battery life. Pedaling like my life depended on it, I got past the fences. I then put it on even higher and cycled away. I could hear the lady yelling and calling me a food thief. As I looked back, she had the box of granola bars over her head and she threw them at me. They landed about a meter away from me and I noticed what the scraping noise was. She was holding a knife in her hand. I focused back on the road and cycled away, hearing the lady still screaming, yelling, and trying to run after me. Eventually, I went back on the app and finally clicked finished order, hoping to get a new one since I didn't want to aimlessly cycle around in fear of running into her, since I thought she might know all the shortcuts. I got a new order from a kebab place nearby, around 8 minutes away. This place was one that I got sent to a lot, and the owner was very friendly, always asking drivers if they wanted something to eat or drink and saying it was on the house. I got there and I was slightly out of breath. He asked me what happened and gave me some water to drink and helped me calm down. Then he gave me some food. After I told him, he talked to the company saying I was in no state to keep doing deliveries. My work agreed to allow me to end my shift earlier. One of my coworkers came for the pickup, and since this delivery was just out of the city center, I biked with him to the city center where it was still busy and went home after that. I'm very glad for the timing of that order, my coworker, and for the owner of the kebab store. I don't even want to know what that lady would have done to me if she had successfully pulled me off my bike. When I was about 4, this was in 1997, my mom and my brothers went to a water park on a weekend during the summer. The park was set up so that you walk through the entrance and run directly into the food court with a little information map station. To the left was the inside of the arcade area with a little roller coaster directly outside of it, and behind the arcade building was an enormous wave pool. To the right of the entrance was a kiddie park, and then behind the kiddie park was the lazy river and all the water slides. Since my brothers were older and wanted to ride the big slides, my mom and me split from them and head to the kiddie park. I remember playing for a little while, making friends with other kids, when this one little boy asked me if I wanted to go to the wave pool. Since I was little, my mom told me I was not allowed to go to the wave pool without an adult, so I told him I couldn't. He then said that it was no problem. My dad is waiting for us, and he already told your mom he was gonna watch us. Well, being a dumb kid and marveling at the wave pool since we got here, I pretty much was sold and followed him over there. My mom probably didn't notice at the time because the lawn chair she was sitting in around the kiddie pool was blocked by a little kid slide and a billion other little children. We headed to the wave pool and met the kid's dad. He immediately took my hand and guided me into the wave pool. I remember only being in there for like 2 minutes tops until he picked me up and carried me back out of the pool. I don't think I even asked him where we were going. I assumed to the food court because that's where we were headed. I then remember reaching the entrance gates and a lifeguard approached us and asked if my name was Crystal. I said yes and started crying because I guess I thought I was in trouble. The lifeguard grabs me from the dude's arms and I see my mom running up sobbing. Years later, we're revisiting the story and she tells me that she noticed I was missing pretty quickly and told a lifeguard to close off the entrance of the park. I was wearing a yellow bathing suit with pink flowers on it and 2 ribbons in my hair, so the description gave me away instantly when the man tried carrying me out. I asked my mom about the kid and she said she had no idea what I was talking about. She said it was just a singular man and he ran into his car in the parking lot as soon as the lifeguard took me out of his arms. There was no kid with him. So weirdo at the water park. Let's not meet. I'm a 17-year-old female. Long story short, there was this man who looked to be in his 30s staring me down at the train station on my way home from school a couple weeks ago. Initially, I had been waiting near the station's exit because it was absolutely pissing down outside and I didn't have an umbrella on hand. I ended up waiting there for a while after the rain had stopped because that man, who had waited near me for what I presumed to be the same reason, had been staring at me the entire time. I hoped he would leave before me, but seeing as he didn't, I eventually brushed it off and left the station. Of course, the man followed me because I wouldn't be writing this if he hadn't. He practically chased me down and managed to catch up to me at a red light. At this point, I was alarmed because the route I had to take to reach my house is usually vacant and just generally not a safe area to go through alone. Immediately, he started to talk to me, offering to take me to lunch and buy me things. I was polite but very clearly dismissive, and while he talked to me, I quickly decided to turn in the opposite direction to reach one of the main streets where there would likely be more people so I wouldn't have to be alone with him any longer. He followed me there too and kept insisting on buying me an umbrella even though it had stopped raining. I politely declined and walked faster, but he just seemed to get frustrated and followed me the whole time until I reached the store. He didn't stop there, of course. He walked into the store with me, and the cashier seemed oblivious to how uncomfortable I was. I tried to distance myself by going through one of the aisles, which was quite narrow, and the guy took this as an opportunity to grab me by the waist and run his hands down my lower back, and I just froze. At that point, I felt defeated and decided to play along, so I told him to write down his number at the exit, and he seemed happy with that. He kept touching me, and I feel disgusted just at the memory of that. I'm not even sure how many times he had his hand around me in the span of a few minutes. He hugged me, and at some point, grabbed me by the hand and wrist, and I just barely dodged a kiss. Luckily, I seemed convincing enough, and he didn't follow me all the way home, like he was insisting on. I didn't see him again for a week, so I started to let my guard down. But as of a few days ago, I keep finding him sat in front of the train station at the time that I need to come back from school. I've seen him 4 days in a row now. Although it's probably a coincidence and I shouldn't think much of it, it's a really unpleasant reminder. Every time I see him sitting on the bench on the street I have to cross, he just sits there and stares at me. It's beyond creepy. So this literally happened to me Wednesday night. My boyfriend lives in the town over, and he orders me a Lyft back and forth to see him. We've been doing this for over 7 months without problems. We spent a day together and had an amazing time as always, and he ordered me a Lyft back home. The guy pulls up and my boyfriend puts me in the car and gives me a passionate kiss goodbye. The driver is from Cuba, hardly speaks a lick of English, and is using Google Translate the entire time to talk to me. First, it started off as, "Do you mind sitting in the front seat? I don't like for people to sit behind me." Okay, no problem. However, instead of letting me out of the car, he asked me to climb over the seat, which made me feel a bit uncomfortable. And then I realized he was staring at me the whole time I was doing so. Then he proceeds to tell me, "I hope I'm not being too daring, but you are very beautiful." Okay, I get this compliment all the time, so I say thank you, but I'm a bit put off by this. He goes on like a regular driver, asking me if the music was okay and the volume. You know, regular stuff. Then he starts asking me about the address I'm going to. "Am I taking you to your home?" I reply, "Yes, I'm going home." He then asked, "Can I go home with you?" I laugh at this and say, "No." He asked me about the guy that put me in the car, if he was my boyfriend or my husband. He's my boyfriend, my soon-to-be husband. He asked, "Can I be your boyfriend too?" I say, "Absolutely not." He asked me why not. I say I'm totally against that I'm in love with my boyfriend very much, and I'm extremely loyal and faithful to him. He says he doesn't have to know. In Cuba, we believe in having multiple partners, and not all of them know about each other. I say it's definitely not a thing for me. I don't believe in that one bit. He says, "Your boyfriend made a mistake of sending you home alone. I would have taken you myself to make sure you got there safe." I'm getting very upset at this point, and I'm only laughing at what he says, trying to maintain a friendly composure because I know how ugly things can turn if I start giving him attitude. He doesn't speak again for a while, and when he does, he asks me if he could come home with me. I tell him no again, and he says, "You are just so beautiful. I really want to be your boyfriend." I don't even say anything but shake my head no and start fidgeting with my phone. He tells me that he has lots of money and that he would take care of me. I told him I don't care about that and that I wasn't interested. He asked if he could give me his number so that we could text each other, and I say no. After what seemed like an eternity, we pull up to my house and he gets out to help me with my bags. I decline his help and he tells me, "Hold on," pulls out his phone one more time and asked, "Can I come inside with you?" I tell him to have a good night and to have a safe trip back and dart inside as fast as I could, locking all the locks behind me, calling my boyfriend immediately so he could report this weirdo because I don't want this unpleasant experience to happen to anyone else. The only thing Lyft did was give my boyfriend a $5 credit to his account for the unpleasant experience. He wasn't even able to tell them why it was unpleasant. So yes, ladies, creepy drivers are definitely a thing. Please be careful out there. It happened in a small Russian village sometime around 2008 or 2009 when I was about 8. The kind of place where everyone knew each other, or at least pretended to. It was late, around 10 p.m., but warm. The streetlights bathed the road in a dull orange glow. Everything was quiet except for the hum of our bike tires on the pavement. I was with a few kids I sort of knew. Not really friends, just familiar faces. We weren't talking, just riding, letting the night stretch on. Then he stepped out of the dark. I recognized him instantly. Everyone did. Some drunk who lived in the village, always lurking around, always wasted. I had never spoken to him, never needed to, but now he was right in front of me. Before I could process what was happening, he grabbed me. The smell hit me first, booze, sweat, and something sour. His grip was tight, fingers digging into my arm. Then, in a slow, slurred voice, he spoke. Where are my cigarettes? I had no idea what he was talking about. I wasn't carrying any. I didn't even smoke. I stammered out the first thing that came to mind. I don't know. His grip tightened. His breath reeked as he leaned closer. Where are my cigarettes? Panic set in. I tried to pull away, but he wouldn't let go. My voice cracked as I repeated myself. I don't know. It was like he didn't even hear me. His voice was slower this time, almost a growl. Where are my cigarettes? That's when I lost it. I screamed, a full, terrified, gut-wrenching scream. No words, just pure, uncontrollable fear. And that's when they ran. Every single kid who was with me bolted the second I screamed. There was even a 16-year-old among us, bigger, older, stronger than me, but he ran too. No hesitation, no looking back, just gone. And that's when it really hit me. I was alone. Maybe that's what saved me, because as soon as I started jittering and screaming, the drunk lost interest. His grip loosened. Maybe he thought I was having a seizure or something. I didn't care. The second I felt his fingers slip, I bolted. Home wasn't far, just a house at the end of the long driveway leading straight to the main road where we had been riding. I sprinted down the driveway, heart slamming against my ribs, and crashed through the door. I couldn't even form a proper sentence, just panic shouting, words stumbling over each other as I tried to explain. My grandma and grandpa turned to me, alarmed. But before I could even finish, my grandma glanced out the window just in time to see him. He was still there, still coming towards the house. She didn't hesitate. She grabbed a wooden stick from behind the door and stormed outside, moving faster than I had ever seen her. She hadn't seen what happened, but she had heard me. She saw him chasing after me. That was enough. The second she reached him, she unleashed hell. She didn't yell, she screamed, calling him every name under the sun, then started swinging, hard. Each hit landed with a sickening thud. The guy stumbled back, too drunk to fully process what was happening, mumbled something as he tried to shield himself. She didn't stop until he finally turned around, eventually disappearing into the dark. A week later, I saw him again, still drunk, still stumbling around the village. He looked right past me like I wasn't even there.